This is Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
From the one and only Grunion Sports Bar and Grill here in Manhattan Beach. Welcome in, everybody. It's Behind the Mic. Brad Dalius and Keith Jackson hanging out on this Wednesday evening, April the 25th, 2018. We are one day away from the biggest NFL draft of our lifetimes. At least that's how it's been hyped up over the past, several months, several weeks, definitely. But it's finally here tomorrow night, the NFL draft in Dallas, Texas. We can't wait for it. Yours truly and Keith will give you our mock drafts tonight. We'll tell you which teams we would pick if we were picking in the top 10. We'll play a little Brad and Keith GM, if you will. We'll play 10 questions tonight as well here on Behind the Mic. Go through a bunch of different subjects as far as the NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, the draft, etc. Speaking of the playoffs, Toronto escapes a hole that they did not want to go down tonight, Keith, going down 3-2. They avoid that. They come up with a win in the final moments, and they're up 3-2 themselves now, so they're in a better position than what they would have been, obviously, if things would have went against them. Currently, right now, Utah taking on OKC, off to a good start, up by 5 at the end of the first quarter, and you've also got Houston taking on Minnesota at the moment as well. So the NBA playoffs are hot and heavy again tonight. We've got a Game 7 right now in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Boston up 5-4 over Toronto as they play in the third period. We'll keep you posted on all these scores. Currently, right now, Dodgers are losing to the Marlins. Yes, you're hearing that correct. Dodgers losing to Miami 4-0 in the 6th inning, trying to avoid dropping 2 out of 3 in this series to the Fish. Angels come up short today against Houston, but the Halos do take 2 out of 3 in the series victory down there nonetheless. Lots going on. Let's dive into a busy world of sports. Keith, good to have you back tonight. How are things?
Things are going great. I was just following a lot of basketball. NBA playoffs, watching a little bit of the Dodgers. Haven't followed too much of the hockey, but, Game 7 is always good to follow and watch. And, and just keep it moving, man. It's been a great sports week with a great fight with Adrian Broner and Fargas, which went into a draw last week. But
there's a big fight coming up this weekend, too, right?
Yeah, next week.
Or next week.
Kalani Golovkin, Triple G, who was supposedly supposed to fight. He was supposed to fight Canelo, and that didn't happen. And he's fighting, I believe it's guy's Lamucha or something like that. It's some guy who's backing up. But
I saw the promo for it today. Yeah, I did see it.
However, Oscar De La Hoya confirmed with TMZ Sports that basically Canelo will be fighting in September, Triple G. So
that's official now.
It's official. So those are some things that's been going on. I've been following a lot of stuff in the sports world, but I'm excited to talk a little basketball and a little football and whatever else we're talking about today.
Let's start with the big bang heard all around the world just a moment ago. LeBron nails a 3 to push the Cavs up 3-2 over the Pacers. Oladipo and company stunned, as you would expect. This shot was almost reminiscent of James's winner over the Magic several years ago.
Yeah.
During his first stint with Cleveland.
You can also take it back to Chicago Bulls and Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
MJ shot, it was the same way. And you know what else was the same way as that? Miami versus the Lakers, Kobe Bryant shot. Dribble down to the left side, top of the key, score. That's exactly what happened.
Hey, some of the greats of the game.
Yep.
It's not too surprising that they mirror each other in these type of instances. But LeBron with the big shot right there, that's what superstars do. They make the clutch shot. They make the clutch pitch. touchdown, whatever sport it is, they come through, and that's what LeBron did tonight, and that's why they're at 3-2. In my opinion, very difficult hole here. Even though they're down just one game, a shot like that at the buzzer almost counts as 2 wins.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I think it's over. I think Cleveland's going to advance after this. I can't see Indiana. That's a heartbreaker right there. You just saw their face when they lost that one. I mean, you go back to Indiana, so you got to win one on the road. And what's interesting about this series is that, Oladipo's been playing aggressive, but they need that big 3 for the Pacers. You need the big 3. Who's going to be that big 3, that next man up? You have Oladipo there. Then you have Turner, who comes in and he scores. But then there's not another person that's giving you the big 3. And in order to beat somebody like that, LeBron counts as 2. Let's just be honest with you. And you're not going to slow him down. But you have to stop the others from doing what they're doing. And they had a golden opportunity. Look, it was going to go to overtime. They could have stole Game 3, went home to Indiana and tried to close it out. But I think now the advantage is Cleveland now because, look, they can have a game to spare. Let's say Indiana does win and they do a Game 7. Well, I can't see Cleveland using 2 in a matter of those games they're playing. They got, let's say, 2 more games left. I can't see them losing both of those games.
No way. Not at this point.
So, I think that they would advance. They're going to probably play Toronto. And I think that series, if they end up going that way, I think it's going to be tough. I think it'll be tough for Cleveland to pull that out. But when you got LeBron James, anything can happen. And that's what I look at right there. When you have somebody like LeBron, anything can happen. That's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. And the NBA is going to want to see that matchup on top of that. So I think that's what's going to be.
At this point, Toronto's just happy that they're up 3-2 over the Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, they're just
Let's
playing
be for real.
That's not a true 1 seed to me. Like, when you look at it, how is that a true 1 seed? Like, you're playing the 8th seed, Washington Wizards, who's been in the media constantly with the dissensions they've been having amongst each other, John Wall, and just Bradley Beal and John. But let's tell you, Bradley Beal and John Wall alone, like, the ball does not move. When those guys get the ball and it's in their hand, it's going to, that's just how it is. And I just don't understand how deep this team. You're a 1 seed. You should be able to close this team out in 5 games. That should have been the closeout. So for them to come back and do what they're doing just shows you, like, hey, it's possible. It's possible that this could go Game 7, man.
They're not a true 1 seed as far as, like, Houston. Houston's a true 1 seed. They've had a fantastic season that would merit a 1 seed, you would think, just off of basic general knowledge of seedings and playoffs, what we've seen in the past. Certainly, Toronto is not as good as 1 seeds, really good 1 seeds that we've seen over the years. Houston is comparable with that, but I see your point, Keith.
Yeah.
Especially with Washington, we've talked about it here on the program before. It's been a disappointing year for them to come into these playoffs as an 8 seed, but there's talent there. There is talent there, and they do present a formidable matchup. They always had the makings to do that. But the fact they've put it together here now when, honestly, it looked like the beginning of this series that they might get embarrassed after going down 2-0. But you got to give Scott Brooks and his staff a lot of credit.
Yeah.
A lot of credit for sticking with it and coaching this team up and getting these guys to play up to their potential. They've done that and then some so far. So, yeah, like you're saying, just because the Raptors took care of business tonight in Game 5 does not mean that they'll wrap this up in Game 6.
No.
I'm with you. I fully expect this to go 7.
Yeah, I think that will go 7 games, which it shouldn't go. And I think it's going to be a battle, even at 4 seed with Cleveland, and if they play Cleveland. If Cleveland wants to play Washington, because Washington is not as deep. They're just not deep enough. But if that happens, then you're going to see a good match between Cleveland. That's going to be a battle within itself. So that'll be a pretty good game. Looking forward at the Utah OKC game.
Yeah.
We're seeing a star in the making. Devin
Donovan Mitchell?
Donovan Mitchell.
It's been phenomenal.
A star in the making. A star in the making.
If you would have told me at the beginning of this series that Donovan Mitchell and Ricky Rubio, that tandem would be better throughout the course of the series than Russell Westbrook and Paul George, get out of here.
Yeah.
There's no way. Everything was upside down the other night. What was it, Friday or Saturday in Game 4 or 5? And by the way, Boston just scored. They're now up 6-4 over Toronto. About 8 minutes to go in the third. So, but with Utah and OKC, everything was upside down. I mean, they had Adam Schefter. I don't know if you saw this. He was doing the sideline reporting after the game on ESPN doing
awesome.
basketball.
Adam
I was like,
Schefter.
am I seeing things here?
That's what I said.
Schefter's doing basketball?
And you know what's hilarious? Some of the coaches, I've heard one of the coaches on that was like, "Hey, what's going on?" After he interviewed one of the coaches the other day, and I believe it was not Utah's coach. No, it was Washington's coach, Sky Brooks. He's interviewing him, and they're talking about the game, and then Sky Brooks goes back and asks him a question about football. So, hey, what are you hearing about such and such? And it was hilarious. And he was like, well, let's get back to the game. You know, he told him a little bit, but it was interesting. It's like, man, here's a guy who's highly respected in the reporting world of breaking news. He breaks all the news. He's highly respected, and he's doing sideline reporting. I was like, wait a minute, if I'm seeing this right? When I first saw
right?
That,
Utah's blowing out OKC.
Yeah.
They're running them out of the building. John Stockton is there in the stands. His son is getting into the action a little bit on the floor. And you got Mitt Romney also in like the first couple of rows. Yeah. It was a wild scene there in Utah.
Oh,
wild.
Yeah. Oh,
and then
yeah.
you got Schefter, like we just talked about here, doing the interviews at the end of the game. I was like, this thing is crazy. But, yeah, right now they're up 37-29, the Jazz that is. And I think it's over tonight, Keith. I think it's game, set, match.
I don't know, man.
Which I think is good for Lakers fans.
It is. It's great for Lakers fans. However, I'm going to just get back to this game, the last game they played at Utah versus OKC at Utah. You know, Russell Westbrook showed a player that really bought into the media and really doesn't really focus on the game, and it just had no class to me. And where I'm getting at with this is, here you have an all-star player who's number one, who's really not really nice to the media. That's number one. I don't think too many players like playing with him, number two. I may be wrong. This is just my opinion. That too many players like to play with him. And then you sit up there and you go to me after you had a bad game in game two. I think that was game two when Ricky Rubio went for 28. He had 28 points, whatever. And you said, I'm going to shut this stuff up. I'm going to shut this. Well, he said the other word, but I'm going to shut this stuff up. I'm going to shut it up. He's not going to be doing that next game. He was so focused on, he came in the next game. He was so focused on just stopping Ricky Rubio. Kenny Smith made a great point. And he said, and he shook his head, and Shaq and Charles debated against him and said, he was like, well, that's not how you stop Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio is not a shooter. He doesn't shoot the ball. He's not a great shooter. He has great passing ability. That's what he's known for. Shooting is a bonus for Ricky Rubio, which is true. Shooting, he's not known for it. Passing is what he is known for. If you can stop his passing ability, which is making him turn over the ball, then you're doing your job. But trying to stop him from scoring, he doesn't score anyway. So if he averaged like 14 points during the season, or 12 points during the season, but he averaged about 10, 12 assists. You have to stop that, because that's the part that makes him go. And what I'm getting at is, Russell was so focused on stopping him and telling the media, yeah, this is me, I did that they still lost the game. You still didn't stop him. Technically, you still didn't stop him, because he just distributed the ball. He scored when he needed to score. And one thing about Ricky Rubio is he never bought into that. It wasn't a storyline Ricky Rubio didn't retract or reset something back to what Russell Westbrook said. It was just okay, all right. And he came in, stayed within his system, stayed with his game. And that's why his team is up right now 3-2 and actually leading this game right now. Because they have a whole selection of arsenals. You can't just stop one player on that team. You know, they got England, they got the shooter England, they got Rudy Gobert, who's going to rebound, they got Crowder, who's doing the dirty work. You got Donovan Mitchell, who's doing pretty much everything.
He's
Who
been
can do it
phenomenal.
all, and nobody can stop him on the floor. And then you got this role player. Exum comes in and gives you a couple of points a game. But, this is why this team is actually dangerous, this Utah team. And they advance in the next round. I don't think Houston can beat them. I'll be honest.
I was going to ask you, is this more so OKC being dysfunctional, or is there something really here with Utah where they can make a deep playoff run?
Utah can make a deep playoff run because you can't just stop one. Let me tell you, this is a difference between Utah. There's a difference between Utah and Houston. This is the thing why they match up well, because Utah plays defense. They can guard the perimeter well, and and Houston's all about shooting threes. The only reason this game is where it's at right now, Minnesota-Houston 26-25, because look how many shoot threes have they Houston shot. None of it's really going to the basket. It's all shooting threes, and that's how they win. That's how they lead. You can have a drag out game for 3 quarters with them, but the minute 3 of those guys catch hot, it's over.
It turns on a dime. We saw the 50 points in the third quarter the other night.
And that's the thing about
crazy.
them. It's key. Excuse me. What's key to beating Houston is that you got to guard them a length. You got to stay in their shorts. Number one. Number two is you got to get a good substantial amount of lead where those threes are really not going to affect you. Because they don't play great defense, man. They don't. They live by their offense. They don't play great defense. Have you ever known James Harden was a great defensive player? No.
No, never.
Chris Paul is a great defensive player? No. The one who's playing a hell of a job is Capella. He's basically showing out and saying, I should be an all-star, not Karl Towns, because he's totally outplaying Karl Towns.
And this is one of the reasons why you and I and others have been skeptical about Houston ultimately getting in the finals, because they don't play defense enough. They don't do it.
Yeah, they don't. And you're not. And they're trying to mock a Golden State. And what they can't mock a Golden State. A Golden State, the way they play, is they distribute the ball very well, and they find their open man. They don't just shoot threes. They distribute. If you watch that game, those guys don't hold the ball in their hands for a long time. They're moving the ball constantly. And that's why you see them getting the wide open shots underneath the basket and so forth. And Houston's kind of like, when it gets over to James Harden, they let him dance with the ball. He'll drive kick to someone who's open, and they shoot the ball. So I'm looking at, what I'm seeing here is, I'm saying, if Houston plays Utah, you may see a Golden State Utah in a Western Conference championship.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. It mixes it up. It mixes it up, and the way they've been playing right now, who could argue against it? By the way, awesome crowd tonight here at Grunions. If you're not down here, you definitely have to do so if you can. Great crowd on hand. Drinks are flowing as usual. Listen online, BehindTheMicShow.com. You can also listen on the Behind the Mic app. To call in, 213-261-7491, 213-261-7491. Utah versus Golden State. I'm down for that. I would buy in. I think that would be a very appealing Western Conference final if we get to that point. The great thing is that we have a Utah that hasn't emerged here, Keith. That's the big thing. Yes. This is not chalk. This is not like last year where it was just Boersville, USA. It was so predictable. This is great. You got Utah right now. And people have forgotten about the Pelicans seemingly the last couple of days because they swept away Portland so fast that they've had all this time to rest between now and coming up here in the second round. And don't sleep on them either. They could give Golden State a good run, and I would anticipate that they will, based off what we've seen and how dominant Davis has been.
They're going to need, I'm going to be honest with you, Golden State's going to need Steph Curry for the Pelicans. They're going to.
Yeah, they're going to need him.
They're going to need him. If they don't, then that's going to be a dragged-out series. You got Kevin Durant. That's probably going to be guarded by. Let's be honest. He'll probably be guarded by Anthony Davis because of lengthwise, and Anthony Davis able to guard Kevin Durant. He can guard him out in that perimeter, and that's going to be an interesting matchup because that's going to be a matchup they're going to do. And the key is going to be Klay Thompson. The key is going to be Klay Thompson. How he does Draymond Green and how they do. But they're going to need Steph Curry because Rajon Rondo is going to play very aggressive on him, even though he's coming off an injury, and they're going to need some help. So I don't know. We don't know the status of, is Steph Curry supposed to come back this round? Supposedly,
it's up in the air. He's supposed to. They've kept it under wraps.
Reportedly, they're supposed to start. I think that series, when does that start? On Saturday?
That sounds about right.
I think it starts Saturday, so we'll probably find out something soon.
They've got a couple days of rest here, but you're right.
Yeah.
We'll probably hear it by Friday.
And I'll be honest with you. I think they didn't mind losing that game, them winning in 5, because that just gave Steph Curry some extra time to rest, because they're going to need him for New Orleans Pelicans, to be honest with you. They're going to need him.
Chris Broussard said something very interesting today about New Orleans. He made the case that they're actually a better team without Boogie Cousins, Keith. I don't know how to read into that.
Well,
because they are playing really well, yes, but I still think if they had Cousins, they would be even better, and they would have a chance realistically to beat Golden State.
Oh, I think if they did have Boogie Cousins, I don't believe that. This is the thing. It's so interesting how when main players get injured, other players step up and then they say they're better without that player. Well, let me tell you something. This is 82 games a season. That player that you got, that stud player, is the one that got you to the playoffs. And so, no, I think what it is like just more people stepped up. You know, more people stepped up and to survive that. But man, come on, a double-double. Boogie Cousins is a double-double guy. Come on, you cannot have anything better than that. Like you want a double-double, and arguably one of the best centers in the league. Or there's no way that team is better without Boogie Cousins. That team would be, I'm sorry, I disagree with Chris Broussard with that. You got Boogie Cousins and DeAnthony Thomas. You have your high-low action. That two-headed monster right there is very hard to stop.
Utah by 6 at the moment, 41-35, trying to close out OKC tonight on the Thunder's home floor. We'll keep you posted on that. Minnesota and Houston, it's tight at the moment. T-Wolves by 1, 33-32.
I'll have to say something about this. Derrick Rose has emerged. I've been watching Derrick Rose in this series, and Derrick Rose has, to be honest with you, when Thibodeau takes Derrick Rose out, this team falls down. And Derrick Rose has emerged as a basketball player in the NBA.
What's taking so long?
You know what? Some players are just, it fits their, some players just play better with a certain coach. And Thibodeau, let's be honest with you, when Derrick Rose had Thibodeau, Derrick Rose had an MVP year with Thibodeau. Derrick Rose was averaging about 25 points a game. Derrick Rose was an all-star. Derrick Rose is, to be honest with you, if he was with the Timberwolves this whole time, coming off the bench, he'll be 6th man of the year. He will be 6th man of the year. There is no way this guy has emerged as a player going to Thibodeau. He is comfortable with Thibodeau. And he's been playing well. He's been playing well in this series. I just think the problem is they don't leave him. They don't leave him in long enough. He's the focal point when he comes in. When he comes in, he's the focal point of that team. I just think he needs to be in the game longer. Their best lineup is when they have Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, Wiggins, Jamal Crawford, and Towns.
Yeah,
that's their best lineup. That's their best lineup. And when you're down 3-1, you got to go with, that's got to be the lineup that's going to offensively get you to the top. That's what it needs to be. And so I think they should go with that. And the focal point's got to be let Derrick Rose create. Have that ball in his hand and let him create and get the open spot, hit the open players. Because he's the best player on that team that can take teams off the dribble, to me. He's better than Jimmy Butler is,
Out in the East, Sixers wrap up their series last night. They eliminate Miami and Philly. That was the game that Meek Mill was at. That was very interesting. We could touch on that. We talked about it last time. We'll get Keith's thoughts on it here tonight coming up. Boston goes up 3-2 over Milwaukee. The Bucks kill me, Keith, because they should be up in this series.
Yeah.
They should be up in this series. I understand that Boston, there's still a lot of talented players there, but they're depleted. They should beat them, but it's not going to happen. The Celtics are going to win this series at this point because they're up 3-2. I think Milwaukee is done. They have no shot at coming back. They've blown their opportunities early in this series and had a chance to get up. for Milwaukee going forward, because let's assume they don't get past Boston in this first round series.
Going forward, Giannis needs to leave.
Besides him, what we can get to him in a second. Who needs to be the new coach there?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of new coaches I would suggest go there. I mean,
because they need someone.
Yeah,
they need someone.
I would, you know what? I would look at. I'm gonna go with look. I think Mark Jackson is going to be New York's Knicks head coach. If not, I would definitely say Mark Jackson should be in there as a head coach over there. I also think Memphis's old coach they used to have. What's his name? Coach last year from Memphis.
The Grizzlies?
Yeah, the
We'll
Grizzlies.
look it up.
Look it up. I think he is a great addition. He's the one that got fired. There was like some speculation of why he got fired. He shouldn't have got fired. But Memphis Grizzlies old coach from last year. I think
Oh, you're talking about Fizdale.
Fizdale. I think Fizdale would be a great addition over there. And then I would even consider a player coach. What player? A guy who used to play in the league and coach.
Now, they could try that, but it didn't really work out before.
Yeah,
Kidd.
With Jason Kidd, he didn't just do a fair enough job. But I think also you got to look at some coaches that are out there in college. So I would definitely throw some cash at some of these coaches that are in college that had a hell of a season. I would go after UMBC.
Jay Wright?
Jay Wright would be great, but he'll be a great addition. But I
don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere either.
I don't know if he would go to Milwaukee. It would have to be almost a perfect situation for him, almost like the Sixers' job.
Yeah.
But that job is not open at the moment. Clearly, they might be going to the finals.
Yeah, they might be going to the finals.
He would almost have to go into a perfect situation. But it's interesting. Would you say the UMBC head coach?
I'll say UMBC. You know who else I'll say this? I will say this, and some people are like, oh, hell no, this and that. Rick Pitino. Why not? He's been in the NBA before.
I know. No one's going to touch him with the 10-foot pole, but
yeah,
I would be intrigued by it.
I'll be intrigued by it. No one's going to touch him, of course, but Rick Pitino would be a great addition because I can see him doing some great things with that team over there. So, but I would go with Fizdale, Mark Jackson, and I would also give Kenny Smith a shot. Why not?
The Jets. He interviewed for the Knicks head coaching job.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get it, though.
It doesn't look that way, right? We probably would have heard something at this point. I don't think he wants to go to the Knicks. Honestly, if you're going to go to the Knicks, be the head coach there, you have to have an extremely impressive resume with great credentials to go there. And even if you have, that doesn't even guarantee anything. I mean, Phil Jackson went there to be in the front office. He didn't coach. But Larry Brown went there. He couldn't even win in New York.
Let me tell you something.
So I'm saying what I'm saying. Like it is a very, very difficult job to be the head coach of the Knicks. If I'm Kenny Smith, I don't want it. I understand he wants to really break into coaching here, from what I gather, but you don't want to go to the New York Knicks at this point.
Well, maybe not.
I mean, there's two different ways of looking at it. It could, you have a chance to resurrect a franchise that's in dire need of somebody to move them in the right direction. But on the flip side, if you get off to a bad start, you're at the mercy of the New York media. Things can go downhill pretty quick. Again, just talk to Phil Jackson, Larry Brown, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's true. But you know who else would be grateful there? Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
No, I'm dead serious.
I think that bridge has been burned.
No,
at this
not
point.
in New York, in Milwaukee.
Oh, Milwaukee.
Look, they hate the triangle offense. Milwaukee doesn't have great ball handlers. Giannis will fit great in the triangle offense. I studied the triangle offense. I use the triangle offense. I'm a fan of the triangle offense.
In college?
No, I coached.
When
players.
You coached?
When I coached, we had many players. We ran the triangle offense, and we've won many championships. And this is all recent. It works. The problem is you have to know it. You have to know how to do it. And it's all reads. And I think that a lot of these teams do this pick and roll, pick and pop, trying to change the game. Let me tell you, there's nothing. You cannot change a game. When it's all said and done, bigs are going to be bigs, and small's going to be small. And when you have a big down and low, you feed them the ball. I mean, you can't change that. Offense, people try to play. This NBA is trying to do more Euroball. In Euroball, there's a lot of pick and pop and all that type of stuff. When you get to the NBA, you got these bigs like Joel Embiid, to name a few. Joel Embiid, you got, Giannis.
Yeah.
Jamarcus Aldridge, Pau Gasol, Mark Gasol. Those type of guys, if they got like Karl Towns, who's thinking he's a 5'11" guard shooting threes, when he was in University of Kentucky killing people 7 feet just as tall as him underneath the basket. I don't know what the hell's gone into him, but what I'm getting at is that the triangle offense is built to move and cut. And when you don't have great ball handlers, which Milwaukee doesn't, they only have Bledsoe, and that's really about it. Delly is not a great ball handler. That's who can't create a basket. Moving and cutting, what those guys will fit well doing. Cutting to the basket, Giannis on a pinch post or where Kobe's at, or cutting to the basket, nobody's stopping that. That's my thing. Is that would be a great. I'm gonna tell you, if Phil Jackson was coaching right now, some of these teams, I guarantee you, Milwaukee would be in the playoff every year and be a number 3 or 2 seed. I'll be number 3 or 2 seed. They would be, because the triangle offense, and if he was running that was built for. You cannot stop a triangle offense. You can't double it. You can't. It's not one. We can't stop just one player. Everybody cuts and moves. That's why Lakers won so many championships. It wasn't the fact, even when Shaq left and Pau Gasol was there. Pau Gasol wasn't a pound like in the basket. He was a more great passer and cutting movement. That's what you saw in that team. You didn't see any great ball handlers on that team. Jared Fisher wasn't a great ball handler. Kobe Bryant wasn't like the best ball handler. He was just a phenomenal. In the behind the play with his back towards the basket, he can shoot over anybody, and that he can create a shot. But he wasn't the best ball handler.
It's funny, guys don't really think about that. They just focus on the fact they won during that stretch of time.
Yeah.
But you're right, Keith. When you break it down like that, they did a certain thing really well, and there's a way for other teams to have that success as well. So Phil Jackson to the Bucks, that would be interesting. I don't know if he would want to go there.
I don't think he would. Milwaukee is a tough place to go, especially in the wintertime. I've been there. It's not great.
There's lots of cold.
Bradley Center, lost my damn. Hey, my CDs and my CDs in Bradley Center, please return them back to Los Angeles, okay? I lost them back in a couple of years ago.
I was going to say, it's probably a lot of years ago.
Yeah, a lot of years ago, and I know they're still there. Somebody took my CDs. I had a great collection, Brad. Great collection of CDs.
Oh, yeah? Anything good in there?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of good stuff?
I have some great stuff. Went out there, we played Marquette, we played Dwayne Wade, and somebody stole my dang CD player and CDs out the locker room while we were playing in the Bradley Center. Where's the security at?
They were watching Dwayne Wade. That's what it was. They were mesmerized by him.
Yeah.
At that point, being at Marquette. Hey, it's Behind the Mic. We're live here from Grunyon's Sports Bar and Grill in Manhattan Beach. Come on down, Sepulveda Boulevard. We're coming back for more after this on the other side. We'll play a little 10 questions. We'll also get into our mock drafts as well. Give us a call at 213-261-7491. Coming back after this.
Every 17 minutes, Make-A-Wish makes the impossible possible. They tame dragons. They bring Saturn to Earth. They help superheroes save entire cities. They even make unicorns fly. All to give children the strength they need to fight their critical illnesses. Every wish takes muscle. Help us make sure every wish comes true. Join us at wish.org.
Our military service members volunteer to protect us in the most dangerous places around the world. They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road home. Beyond all the hospitals and doctors and surgeries they need just to survive, they also deserve whatever they need to truly live. All the in-home care and day-to-day help they need to live independently, on their own terms. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs were established to provide these brave men and women whatever they need to continue their fight for independence, at no cost, for life. So many of them need us. and it's time for a grateful nation to step up. Find out how you can do your part at findwwp.org.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? Shifting to a system based on primary care can help fix the problem. Patients with a primary care doctor live longer, healthier lives and are less likely to suffer from cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Primary care that is comprehensive and coordinated also saves money. Patients who have a primary care doctor spend 30% less on health care than patients who don't. States with a high number of primary care doctors have lower health care costs and higher quality care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
You're listening to Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Take us with you on the go wherever you may be. Download that official Behind the Mic app today. You can always listen online, behindthemicshow.com. And don't forget to check out our podcast on iHeartRadio. Welcome back inside Grunion Sports Bar and Grill. Brad and Keith hanging out on this Wednesday night. NBA playoffs once again this evening. We had a Game 7 in the NHL, which just went final a little bit ago. The Bruins took care of the Maple Leafs 6-4 in a bit of a shootout there in Beantown. But the Bruins are moving on to the second round in the NHL playoffs. Playoffs have been good. It's a little tough, obviously, Keith. Kings out of it, Ducks out of it. I'm intrigued by the Knights, as I mentioned last week. They've been sitting around here for a couple of days waiting for their next opponent. That series will start tomorrow night, Knights and Sharks in the second round out west here. And, of course, you got the Penguins. They're looking good. They're going to take on the Capitals in round number 2. Washington is trying to get that monkey off their back, trying to advance past that second round semifinals. So lots of NHL hockey action going on. Unfortunately, no LA teams in it, but there is some intriguing storylines, and Pittsburgh obviously trying to go for 3 straight cups. A Pittsburgh Golden Knights final would be really, really intriguing.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for something like that.
I mean, you gotta go with the Western Conference. So whoever's in the Western Conference, I'm gonna go for.
Yeah, of course.
Is there, so you know, I'm definitely gonna root for them. And how great is them winning the Stanley Cup? So you can say, "Hey, Kings, you lost to the Stanley Cup champs." How great would that be?
Not too bad.
Well, you got swept by the Stanley Cup champs.
Well, the interesting thing is not just that, but how about the fact that 2 goalies who used to be teammates, Marc-Andre Fleury, will go up against Murray. who's the current goalie for Pittsburgh. That would, a lot of different storylines would present itself if that comes up. But a couple rounds away from that, we'll keep tabs on it. The Ball era in Lithuania, Keith, looks like it has officially come to an end, at least for now. The Ball brothers are out, and they're coming back to California.
Well, it's a shame because I was just reading this article about it too, and it's a shame. LeVar, let's talk about a parent that's constantly in your son's just career, just trying to live his career through you. Here you got, I'm going to tell you, LaMelo and LiAngelo would not be, they would be in one, if their father had their mouth closed, LiAngelo would be playing in college right now. LaMelo would be at Chino Hills, probably won a state championship. And, his recruiting career in terms of college would be more promising. They went overseas because their dad wanted them to go over there, got involved. And let's go back to this. LiAngelo got into a little trouble with UCLA. UCLA decided to suspend him. LeVar and them were upset at the fact that they suspended. They did not only the suspension was severe. They just stole some stuff from a foreign country. That forgot it hit national news.
Yeah,
but it hit national news.
Forgot about that.
You forgot about that. You got that the president was involved in this too.
Right.
You also forgot about how long it took. There's two other players right now that are still currently at UCLA, but they're not playing right now. So how much money it costs for you guys to go over there and play in the first place, and how much probably had to take to get out of there. So you forgot about all that. But the fact remains, you go over to Lithuania. They give you an opportunity to go over there. LeVar tries to take over Lithuania like he timidly did. And it's just to show you that he was the problem. That LeVar is the problem. It's not the kids. It's LeVar Ball who's the problem. Because when they were at Chino Hills and they had a coach there, there was an Asian guy there as a coach. When who coached Lonzo, after Lonzo won his championship, when they had all three of the boys, he left, and everybody was like, "Why did he leave?" Well, then all of a sudden, another coach comes in. They had it out. LeVar and that coach had it out, and that coach left, won a championship, or got close to championship, and left as well. And then they brought in another coach, and then the other coach they brought in wasn't the coach that LeVar didn't want to be coaching there, and just at Chino Hills.
Of course, he didn't.
He didn't want him, and this and that. So he pulled his son out of Chino Hills and said he's going to be playing. Do private tutoring and all that, and private school, homeschool and all that. Well, is LaMelo getting homeschooled? No, he's not. They went overseas. So, this is not LaMelo's doing. So LaMelo missed out his whole career of high school basketball to go play overseas because he's just following whatever his dad wants him to do. You go over there, you had an okay season. You haven't really done anything. You're playing smaller teams and you're not doing well against the team. Then LeVar brings in his Facebook Live reality show over there. LiAngelo gets pulled out of UCLA and he's over there in Lithuania. The next thing you know, you got LeVar coaching the team. The team sucks. They're not winning games. Now you got into it with the coach over there. You get into it with the coach over there. The season's not even over yet. You pull your kids and you take them back here. How does that look for any other program or any other franchise wanting to pick up somebody like this who's going through all those obstacles, has been in the media, who's just nothing but every team that they leave a bad taste in their mouth. And how does that look? Let's say LeVar has been to me about the Los Angeles Lakers too. If we don't pick up LiAngelo, Lonzo's leaving. Really?
It's just talk.
It's just a bunch of talk. But what I'm getting down to is you ruined a kid's career off of your visualizing where you see things going, and it just doesn't go the way the route it wants you to go. That's what he did. He's living his dreams within his career.
Vicariously. Definitely. He has ruined it. It's sad to watch. At this point, my advice for LeVar, stick with your Ball in the Family entertainment show. Stick with your reality show. Yeah. Stop meddling in your kids' basketball professional careers. Because last time I checked,
didn't
LeVar
have
did
one.
not play professional.
Yeah.
It's okay, and the fact that we've gotten to this point is just crazy. It's okay if he has suggestions, but the fact that he has just gone over the top here and has just single-handedly, like you alluded to, Keith, has really just picked apart everything in his kid's basketball professional career. It's just not helping them. It's only hurting them. It's hurting them more than it's doing anything for him.
Yeah.
That's really the bottom line.
Let's read this quote that Sikas, the coach over at Lithuania, said to a reporter at ESPN. He said, end quote, "It's just another proof they came here to make a show, not for basketball. It's sad they didn't understand what we gave them. We understand how they helped us, but they don't." What does that say?
That sums up the whole thing in a nutshell. That's what we've all been thinking and what we've been saying.
An opportunity to play ball again. They give you now. That gets around because every now overseas people are like, "I don't want you. You're not. No, I don't need the triple. Why do we need the triple Bs? You develop your own little league, this and that. But every team that you've left, you have left a bad taste in their mouth, and that just says that I don't want to bring that baggage over to this program.
That's it.
I don't want to bring that. So it's sad to see LaMelo in the situation he is because, look, this kid, he's only a kid. He's not even 18 years old.
Was he 17?
I think he's 17 years old. He's gotten everything he wants. Now, I mean, he has some issues, but he's a kid. He's 17 years old. He's just doing what his dad went. LiAngelo, you're not going to play in the NBA draft. I cannot see any team picking you up in the NBA draft. I tell you, if he's got a shot in the NBA draft, damn it, then I must got a shot, and I'm 36 years old.
That's right. We'll get Keith Jackson back out on the court.
I'm gonna get back on the court because I got a shot. But it just to me it's just proof on the pudding that his father is a big issue of why they haven't advanced, and they've been just going back and back, further back and back, and a lot of teams. It's coming to the point where a lot of teams they're going to be blackballed. The balls are going to be blackballed.
Yeah. How ironic is that?
Yeah, and it's sad to see because these kids don't even have a career. They're not going to have a career. So, hopefully reality show does well. That's on YouTube.
That's what he should stick to.
Facebook Live.
That's what he should stick to. If the kids want to be in it, that's fine. That's totally fine. If all the kids want to be in it, I have no problem with that. But LeVar, just stick with the reality show. Honestly, he's very entertaining. I found him very entertaining when he just sticks to that stuff. And I thought he was entertaining at the beginning of this whole thing when he started to meddle a little bit. But just like anything, once it goes over the top too much, it's a bad thing. And that's where things have come to at this point.
You know what's interesting, Brad? Just before we do it, this is right. And then some reporter asked LeVar, so what happened? He said, end quote, "You really asked me this? Coach ruined everything. He'll have to pay for the price by Melo not coming back." I don't understand that.
That's such a LeVar message.
It doesn't register in his brain, like all the stuff that has happened.
If it hasn't been said yet, it's obvious there's no PR team here. This is all through his filter.
Yes, he needs like a intervention or something. Like he needs a PR person. Maybe your sister, she's in PR, right?
She is in PR,
Maybe she should help the balls and give them a little, let me pay her some money, give her some little thoughts because
she would be helpful. I can tell you that.
He's definitely a guy that needs it.
She's very capable. Man, oh man, I know it just gets crazy, and it's going to continue that way until things go the other way. That's my view on it. Let's play 10 questions, Keith, here on Behind the Mic.
Let's go.
First one. Are you starting to believe that the Sixers maybe could win this whole thing?
Oh, absolutely not. They're not winning the whole thing.
So pump the brakes a little bit on that.
Yeah, pump the brakes on that.
All right.
They're not winning the whole thing.
But you got to admit that the thought has maybe crossed your mind.
In the East, they're the deepest team. They're the deepest team in the East. The question is, we still haven't seen it. The question is, we've seen them fight through adversity with Miami. But I want to see when this team is down 1-0-1 in the series, how they respond.
A little adversity?
Yeah, that's what I want to see. And I don't know. The next team they will play, they will play the winner out of
Milwaukee
and Boston, which they're going to win anyway. I think they'll beat either or of that team. Boston, I can't see Boston beating no Philly. They just don't have enough. And I can't see Milwaukee's not going to beat. Let's just say what it is. Milwaukee's not beating Boston. That's what it looks like right now. So that's going to be a cakewalk for them. But it's that Eastern Conference Finals. I can see them, if they play, let's just put it like this. If they end up playing LeBron James in the Eastern Conference Finals, and LeBron, it's going to be interesting how Ben Simmons plays against him at LeBron, because LeBron is the king, they call the king, and they call so-called Ben Simmons the prince. And, and they do have enough bodies that can contain Joel Embiid. I'm going to tell you something, man. You can probably see another Cleveland Cavaliers Golden State matchup again. Even with all this adversity that you're seeing with Cleveland, they're just being battled. It's going to be a battle, but I can also see this. I can see Philadelphia going to the finals. I can say that. I think it would be a battle to maybe a game 7, they probably win in 6 if they play Cleveland or whatever. But they not beating Golden State. I mean, they just don't have enough.
What if there's no Curry at that point?
They don't have Curry.
It's unlikely. He's probably gonna be back.
He'll be back,
but you don't know.
Yeah, but if he's not back, I still say they don't have enough, dude. It's just Kevin Durant is just a whole nother breed of player, and I can't see that happening. I just can't. They're just deep, man. They're deeper. They're a deeper team. They're deeper, and they're veterans, and they're all champions. They all got rings on that team. There's only new guy on that team is Swaggy P that hasn't have a ring, but the rest of those guys got rings. Oh, Bell. I think Bell does. Jordan Bell they have over there.
Yeah, there might be a few
guys.
A
couple of rookies, maybe like
that
3
core of the team.
The core of the team.
Yeah.
But the core of the guys, they all there back, and it's hard to knock off champions like that, and they just minds on a different thing. I just can't see it happening. But they got. I think out of all in the playoffs right now, they have the most talent, and they're a talented team. But I just can't see them winning it all. Absolutely not.
By the way, real quick, how about that story? Since we're talking about the Warriors, where the one local media reporter in the Bay Area stole the jacket of one of the players, I guess, on the team, a Warriors jacket, a Letterman jacket. Apparently, you got to be kidding me.
We're
stealing jackets?
Stealing jackets now?
Is that really worth it?
It's not.
Is that worth it to lose your job over that?
It's not. I mean, you can just ask them for one. They'll probably give you one. You gotta steal it. That's ridiculous.
Next one. So this is a good segue, actually, from your talk about Simmons a moment ago. Right now, Keith, would you rather have on your team Ben Simmons or Donovan Mitchell?
Oh, Donovan Mitchell.
He's hot right now. He is over the top.
I have a guy out there right now. His name is David Smith. He's from Philadelphia. He's one of a fan. And he says Ben Simmons is going to be a Rookie of the Year. And I said, absolutely not. It's Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is by far, and let me tell you why. Donovan Mitchell is a true rookie. I don't care what anybody says. If you've been in the league for 2 years,
you're not a rookie.
You're not a rookie, okay? I don't care. If you're employed, I don't care if you haven't played one game on the floor. If you're employed and getting paid by a franchise a year and not playing, you are a rookie. You're not a rookie. I'm sorry. You're not a rookie. You're getting paid. You have worked out with the teams. You just haven't played in an official game. But you still worked out with the team. You worked out with the trainers. You're not a rookie anymore. So, to me, if he gets Rookie of the Year, that's an asterisk next to that. That's not a true rookie. A true rookie is someone coming in their first year in the NBA. This will be their first year of checks. Money from the NBA is considered a true rookie. And that's why Donovan Mitchell is a guy I'm picking as a player that I would take for the simple fact that he can shoot the ball from the 3, he can take you off the dribble. Oh, and he plays defense. I'm taking Donovan Mitchell.
Which 1 seed is more likely to be eliminated first, Houston or Toronto?
Come on. Toronto almost got eliminated this week. So I'm gonna go with Toronto. Toronto is the team that's easier to get. I'm just not a believer in Toronto. Toronto's going to be the first team to get eliminated. Not this round next. But you know what? They both may get eliminated because if Houston advances, Houston's going to end up playing Utah. I can see Utah beating Houston. I also can see Cleveland beating Toronto. So they may both get eliminated at the same time. But if I had to pick just one, I'm not a believer in you yet, Toronto. Sorry.
Tonight, as we talked about before, the Bruins beat the Maple Leafs in Game 7. It was actually the 26th time in the history of the Boston Bruins franchise they've been in any Game 7. That sets an NHL record, Keith. Mm-hmm. My question to you, what's your favorite Game 7 of all time, any sport?
Game 7 of all time, any sport. Boston versus the Lakers. Ron hits a 3 at the end and celebrates, and then parties until the morning in his jersey.
Yeah,
after that game. That was a classic. No, that was a great Game 7 for many reasons. It has some history behind it. Remember, 2 years before that, Boston beat the Lakers, and that was the whole Chris Paul wheelchair and all that crap. I mean, Paul Pierce wheelchair.
Oh, don't even get me started on
that.
that.
It came back. Oh, had the team lift them out, wheelchair and all that. It came back and hit 3 threes, and then they ended up winning the championship and pouring Gatorade bottles and all that stuff all over people, on Doc Rivers. But that just left a bad taste in their mouth. And then the following year, Lakers get to the finals, but the Orlando Magics eliminate the big 3, Boston. So it was just like, we knew we were going to sweep them. So they had to get back because we needed some get back from that series. And that was a true rival. That was like a classic historic rival. Then Boston came back, and we ended up beating them on our home floor against them in the following year in the finals. And that was a Game 7, and that came down to the wire. Kobe was off that whole game. Ron Artest came in. It was his first year with the Lakers. He came in, hit a big 3, and then that's all she wrote.
That's the best game of the season for him by far.
Best game of the season, and what a celebration for the La La Land LA. I mean, Ron Artest, I think he even walked into Jimmy Kimmel with his whole, he didn't even take a shower yet.
Probably
he
did
walked into Jimmy Kimmel.
I think you're right, he did it.
And didn't even take a shower yet. He was still in his clothes. So that was just great to see, man. So I have to go with the Lakers-Boston series.
Sticking with the Lakers, what about that 0-2 Western Conference Final, Game 7 over Sacramento?
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
It's good, right?
That was a good one.
It's got to be up there.
You know what else one we got to go through? 2001 with Lakers versus the Blazers. The classic Kobe lob to Shaq. That put him over the catapult.
There's some good ones in the history of the Lakers franchise. Some good Game 7s.
Yes.
Obviously nothing in football. Baseball, we don't see it very often.
Yeah,
although Cubs, Indians in 2016, a couple years ago.
Oh, I was going to say that
was a good one.
That was my second one. I was actually, let me tell you, that one I remember this really clear. I went to the Kanye West concert, who I'm no longer supporting anymore, but I won't get into that. Went to the Kanye West conference. Cleveland was playing the Cubs.
Right.
I left the house. It was like 8th inning. It was like 9th inning. I left the house. They didn't start the concert until that game was over because Kanye and everybody was watching it in the back, and they had it all in the jumbotrons and all that, the game and stuff. And that went like 15 innings, I believe, like 12.
Yeah, extra innings.
It went in extra innings. And you know what's crazy? Let me tell you about that. The Cubs ended up winning that. I believe the Cubs. The Cubs ended up winning. Yeah. I interviewed the next day Trooper. Who played for the Cubs.
Really?
I think, he played for the Cubs. I interviewed him. And I talked to him, and I said, dude, tell me what happened in that locker room. Because they went into the locker room. I think they went into the locker room in that game, too. They had like a break. I don't know if it was
there might have been some kind of delay or something.
Yeah, it was like a rain delay. And I asked him, he was like, man, the pitcher came in, and I forgot what the pitcher's name was at the time. And he went off on everybody's like, we came too far for this. We got to go out here and win. This is BS. And he said a whole bunch of other curse words. And he said that put us over the top. And that's why we won the game. And I was like, oh, man. So that was a classic. That was like one of the best. But the Dodgers-Astros was a good series. Game 7.
Game 7 was a bummer.
Game 7 was a bummer for
I was
us,
there.
but
Nothing to cheer about.
nothing to cheer about. But what a great series.
Yes, great series. But yeah, not a memorable Game 7.
But memorable Game 7, yeah. That I have to go. That was my second. Was the Cubs and Cleveland.
Who will have the better pro career when it's all said and done? Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson?
Ooh. That's a tough one, Brad, because you got to see where Lamar Jackson.
Based off what you've seen in college far, what you predict, assuming they stay healthy.
Okay. That's what I'm going to say. Lamar Jackson got 2 Heisman trophies, right?
One.
But he was up for 2.
He was up for 2, and we talked about this last night on the program. It was interesting because his senior year, he actually had better stats than his Heisman year.
Yeah, but the problem was his team sucked.
His team sucked. They got blown out on that Saturday night to Clemson. That's what really hurt his chances.
Yeah, that really hurt his chances
last year. Yeah.
So that was it. But the Patriots are gonna. If the Patriots pick him up, it depends on what system they go into and where they're going. You know, Lamar Jackson can possibly be the next Michael Vick. Let's just call it what it is, because he's a great runner. He can run. He can throw the ball. So if the Patriots do pick him up, it would be a different type of style of play. Different type of style. It would be like picking up Jacoby Brissett, what they had before.
Yeah.
And that's what they're kind of
almost how they ran it in that Houston game a couple of seasons ago when Brady was suspended.
Exactly. That's the type of play. And I actually like that style they were playing, because then you have somebody who's out the pocket and stuff. And that was really tough. And he's not the best accurate thrower, though. That's the only thing about Lamar Jackson.
I know. That's the thing.
Lamar Jackson can't hit you on a dime, and Baker Mayfield can. But Baker Mayfield is not a great running quarterback. He's not a great pocket. He's not a great pocket thrower neither. He likes to kind of run out, roll out, and throw the ball. What I see, but I think it's all depends on the system. But if I had to pick and choose, I have to edge it. I got to edge it to Lamar Jackson. My reason why is because he can run it and get away. He can run and get away. He'll probably average more rushing yards than he was passing than Baker Mayfield would. And I got to edge Lamar Jackson. That's a tough one.
By the way, 71-46, Utah is just running away with this right now as they play in the third quarter, trying to eliminate
Come on, Paul
OKC.
George, come to the Lakers.
As I said, this is good for the Lakers. The quicker OKC gets done, the less reason it gives for him to stick around there. That's what you would think.
Yeah.
Next one. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but who should be the next head coach of the Knicks? Who should it be?
Mark Jackson.
Why?
I'll go with Mark Jackson because Mark Jackson can what he did with the Golden State Warriors. And I'm just leaving it this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be real, quite frank. Mark Jackson built that team. Mark Jackson and Jerry West. They built that team. Steve Kerr came in and he put his little glistening on the team as well. But Mark Jackson, the one that told everyone he sees talent, he knows talent, and he told everyone. He says Steph Curry and Draymond Green, Klay Thompson will be a star in this league. And today, what do you say? What do you see? Steph Curry, I believe, has the most jersey sales out of everybody in the league, more than LeBron
he does.
James. You know, and so Draymond Green, all these guys are picked late first rounders. They weren't high top picks. Late first rounders to now being all-star players, and he has a great system. He just knows how to relate to players and relate to the game, and players respect him. And I just think he will be a great addition over there for New York. He's played in New York for many years. He knows talent. He can relate to the players. They can relate to him, and he knows. So I have to go with Mark Jackson.
who is most to blame for OKC being down 3-1 to Utah? Who's most to blame?
Oh, man. If I had to blame somebody, I hate blaming, but it starts with your coach, Billy Donovan. And I think why it starts with him because you don't have I think after your bench, you got hurt. You got some players that are hurt off the bench. But I think one thing you have to do is you can't let Russell, and it's part, I think, Russell Westbrook's as well, because Russell needs to have the ball in his hand all the time. And he wants to be the main show, and I believe that's why Kevin Durant left. Kevin Durant was like, he doesn't understand, and I'm the best player on the team, not him. And I think the thing with Russell is Russell doesn't know how to move the ball. In order for him to be effective, he needs to have the ball in his hands. And I think that's the problem why everything's at a standstill. I think that Billy Donovan has to be the type of guy to be like, look, sit down. This is how we're going to run things. That's how Phil Jackson was great at what he did. He had no problem bitching Michael Jordan. He had no problem coming out and saying things in the media about Shaq and Kobe. He had no problem bitching players and telling them this is how we're going to run things. And either you get with it or you get out of town, or we can trade you. And I think that's what it is with him. Billy Donovan just kind of let Russell does whatever he wants. And that's why you see them down 3-2 and then possibly getting eliminated tonight. Because, again, Russ, you're getting your stats, but that's it. You ain't going to win no chip. You're not going to win a chip that way. So I have to put 70-30. 70% the blame on Billy Donovan and 30% on Russell Westbrook.
Which team has the most pressure on them on draft night tomorrow?
Oh, it's got to be Cleveland, man.
Yeah.
It's got to be because... Look, here goes Houston about to run away with it. This is the quarter
up by 2, but yeah, you're right. Third quarter, something clicks in that third.
They're starting to hit threes, and they're gonna need to close out. But I'm gonna go with this. I said they have to, because the thing is do you pick a quarterback first, which I think is a big mistake in my opinion if they pick a quarterback first. Because you got a Saquon Barkley who's going to be a stud running back. You don't get any of those. Those type of guys don't come around just very often.
It's funny, too, because we think alike on this, but we're in the minority, which is really wild because everyone wants him to take a quarterback.
Yeah. The quarterback is going to be there. Look, you got the number 1 pick and the number 3 pick. What's the number 3? Yeah, the number
4.
3. Number 4. But still, you got 4 top quarterbacks in there. You got Rosen, you got Sam Darnold, you got Allen in there, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Baker Mayfield. You got 5 great quarterbacks.
They're guaranteed to get one of them.
You're guaranteed to get one of them. And so, for me, I'm like, man, Saquon Barkley is the number 1 pick. And if they don't, I think that's when they're making a mistake.
Last night in the Dodgers game, a balk was actually called against Dodgers pitcher Tony Cingrani. However, upon review on the TV broadcast, it appeared that the umpire, Joe West, actually made the incorrect call. My question to you, is it finally time to make every play reviewable in baseball?
Yes. It's just like it is in the NFL when there's questionable calls. They have an obligation to get things right, correct. That's why they have umpires there, is to get things correct. And they're only human. They're going to make mistakes. But there's a way to correct those mistakes, and it's called instant replay. It's best to go to the replay, and it should be challenges like the NFL for baseball. Like if someone thinks a certain way, they should be able to challenge, have a challenge, 2 challenges a game, and they challenge and review it, That's how you make those corrections. So, because you just cheat these guys out the game, man. They work so hard, and it's like, man, it sucks to see that. So, I hope they do change it, and I think instant replay needs to be a part of that.
Last one, it was announced today that Michael Vick, just talked about him a little bit ago, he's going to be the offensive coordinator, Keith, for the Alliance of American Football's Atlanta franchise, which was announced today. The head coach for that team is going to be former Vikings head coach Brad Childress. He'll serve as the head coach down there for when they start next February. So you've got the tandem of Childress as head coach, Michael Vick as offensive coordinator. Does that sound like a winning combination to you?
It's a decent combination. But
Are you intrigued by Michael Vick?
I'm intrigued by Michael Vick.
Being
I'm glad they put the
coordinator.
name, but that's going to be interesting to see because we've never seen that before.
Yeah.
But in order for the Alliance to really do something and not be a bust, you need players. You need notable players that people want to watch and see.
Yeah, they're taking care of the coaches at this point.
But you need notable players. You need people like, I'm being honest with you, I actually, let me tell you, I actually talked to Ray Rice this week. I talked to Ray Rice. I talked to Ray Rice this week, 2 days ago. And,
what's he doing these days?
Well, he is still like talking to kids, like going around the different high schools and things like that, talking about kids and like, you know, making mistakes and things like that.
Yep.
Doing a lot of like basically mentoring, and he still wants to do football. He still, you know, work out and this and that. And the question needs to be, honestly, who's going to give him a chance? He's just like Colin Kaepernick and the rest of these guys. But I think that he should go to something like the Alliance or the XFL. And I think that would draw people to come watch that because people still want to see them play. You know, Ray Rice, Colin Kaepernick. You know, they need to give those guys shots. If the NFL not going to give them shots and you're competing against the NFL now, that's how you get the NFL. Okay, you don't want them? Well, we do. Let's give these guys an opportunity.
I'm all for it.
And,
I'd love to see it personally.
Terrell Owens, another guy who wants to play in the NFL, thinks he's got it. All right, Terrell, we're going to give you a shot, give you a little 10-day contract or one-year deal. Say, that's what you do. That's what you do with those guys. Those guys that want to Ocho Cinco, who's been training AB and all this stuff, who thinks he can still play. Give those guys opportunity. But I guarantee you viewers out here will watch it.
That's 10 questions here on Behind the Mic. I do want to get into a little NBA draft talk. Utah continues to pour it on OKC at this point. Thunder trying to make a little bit of a run, but it might be a little bit too late. Still a lot of time left, though, so we'll see. Only down by 13.
And Minnesota.
Yes, T-Wolves and Rockets. It's only a 2-point lead right now for Houston, so Minnesota trying to keep it close. As you said before, this is the quarter that is the money quarter for Houston, and it's the quarter of just everything going wrong for Minnesota. So if they can keep it close here,
they gotta
perhaps
pull away.
they can extend this series. We'll keep tabs on it. I do want to give you our mock drafts, though, tonight, because, again, this NFL draft has been hyped up to be one of the biggest we've ever seen in our lifetimes. We talked about it last night on the show. The Rams, obviously, they're not going to do anything in the first round or the second round. They're basically going to sit back for the first couple of rounds. And really, the Chargers will be the team that will be front and center. So we'll see how it goes. And we'll be watching tomorrow night, to say the least. But I do want to give our mock drafts right now. How Keith and I see this playing out if we were to be the GMs of these different teams. I'm thinking, Keith, just based off what we talked about before, we're going to have the same overall pick. The first overall pick, I got to give it to Saquon Barkley.
Yes.
Best player in the draft. Generational type of player, as long as he stays healthy. I understand running backs in the first round, especially within the first 5-10 picks, have had injury problems over the years. Hasn't always worked out, especially in the case of Penn State running backs. However, Barkley's a different breed, and I think that will eventually shine true as his career moves on.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I'm picking Saquon Barkley as well as my first pick. I'm not giving that pick to the Giants at all.
Definitely not.
And I'm definitely going with Saquon Barkley as my running back. That's what they need first. There's too many quarterbacks in the draft that you're going to get a quality one to just go and just grab one, and you're going to bank on that. I'm sorry. Saquon Barkley is the best running back in this whole entire draft. There's no way you're letting him go second.
And the fact that none of these quarterbacks are these guys that have proven any type of test or passed anything that gives us ultimate confidence that these guys are going to be ultimately successful at the next level. We don't know that. We don't know that about Darnold, Rosen, Allen, not Mayfield, or even Jackson either.
Yeah.
So why not? Why not? When you pick again at 4, it's such a unique position to have 2 picks within the top 5. Take the back at number 1 in Barkley. Then, a couple picks later at 4, just take who's ever left. We've been beating this drum for a while now, but most people don't agree with this, Keith.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't see it. But Barkley, number 1. Number 2, if I'm the Giants, Eli Manning is 37 years old. He's not turning back the clock. And he's not Tom Brady either. He's not throwing for 500 yards in the Super Bowl at this point in his career. He is not. He's got maybe 2 years left of good football. But this is a team that won 3 games last year, Keith. They are not going to be 10-6 or 11-5.
Yeah.
And if they think, even if Barkley drops to number 2, if they think Barkley is going to take them to the promised land, they're kidding themselves.
Yeah.
They need to take a quarterback. And that's why I would have him take Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
I like him the best. He's my favorite quarterback in this draft. Again, I go back to that meeting last fall between the Bruins and the Trojans. I was there. I saw a big difference. I get Darnold has progressed at this point, and he's improved his game, but so has Rosen as well.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. I think he fits in well in New York, too. I think he can take care of the media there. He's got that attitude and personality where he's slightly cocky, but not too much.
Yeah.
I think it's a good blend. I could see him working there in New York.
Yeah, I'm going with Josh Rosen as well. That was my second pick. It would be Josh Rosen. He can learn underneath Eli Manning for the next couple of years. I still say that the Giants need to get They need to go ahead and get a lineman, get a better O-line for Eli Manning for protection purposes. That's something they didn't do. They failed to do last. Just missed that. They failed to do last round. But I'm gonna go with Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen.
Number 3, of course, the Jets have moved up. They swapped picks with Indy. This is interesting because the Jets have to hit on the quarterback. I talked about this earlier, this NFL offseason and free agency. They did not land Kirk Cousins, even though they had all the money in the world to do so. Their quarterbacks right now on their roster, Christian Hackenberg, Bryce Petty, Josh McCown, Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is probably their best quarterback right now. Yeah. That's not good enough.
No.
That's not good enough. Jets fans are looking for the quarterback of the future. This is a big pick. They got to get it right. I think they go with Sam Darnold at number 3. That's who I would have them take at that point. With Rosen off the board, I go with Sam Darnold, who is, I think, the best quarterback outside of Rosen.
Okay. Honestly, I don't know if Sam Darnold's the best quarterback. We've seen a lot of mistakes and things that he's made. He did have a great throwing combine at USC and the weather, different type of weather. But that doesn't mean anything. You ain't got guys rushing you. You're not making great reads.
Night and day.
It's night and day. And I don't know if that's the best pick for them. Who I would go for is I would have to say Allen.
The Wyoming quarterback.
Wyoming quarterback. I think he's a great guy. He sits in the pocket. He can throw the ball. He's taller for sure, and
he's got the height.
He's got the height that they need, and I think that would be a great addition for them in terms of a guy coming out of Wyoming, coming to a big city like that. Like, I think it would be great. Great for him. Is it great? That's what they need. They got a great talent player, and he throws on the dime. So I would think I would go with Allen.
At 4, the Browns pick again. Obviously, their second pick in the top 5, like I mentioned earlier. So I got my running back at number 1. This gets back to the conversation now. I pick whoever's left with the quarterbacks. So in my end here, Keith, Rosen's off the board. Obviously, he goes to the Giants 2. Darnold goes to the Jets at 3. At this point, I'm taking Baker Mayfield. Mm-hmm. They've got Tyrod Taylor. I know you like Taylor. Mm-hmm. I think he's okay for a couple of games. But ultimately, he's not your answer. They've got the receiver in Jarvis Landry. They got the running back now in Barkley. Now they got the quarterback in Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, look, Baker Mayfield, he's a great quarterback. I think I'm going with a quarterback as well in their sense. But this is the one where I think I would go with either Sam Darnold. It's either Sam Darnold or Lamar Jackson, man. But if I had to choose between the one right now, I would go with Sam Darnold.
Yep.
He's a great running quarterback. Is what they're going to have. Tyrod Taylor's a running quarterback, so you're not going to lose much in what they do, and you're not going to lose much if he gets hurt. Boom, you can have Sam Darnold come in. He does the same thing. He runs. He knows how to get out of trouble. He can throw the ball on a dime, and he's good. He can play in all type of weathers, as you can obviously see what you did in the combine. But I would go with Sam Darnold in this case. And you got, the coach. You got a great. I think he's going to have a great offensive team with him. He's got Jarvis Landry. They got great receivers that he can get the ball to. So I'm going to go with Sam Darnold.
Now we're up to 5. The Denver Broncos are on the clock. Denver's got the quarterback now in Case Keenum, seemingly their man to go forward. Elway is still trying to push, let's win now. There's talent there to do so. They need some protection up front, though, Keith. They need to protect Keenum. I'm going to go with the offensive guard from Notre Dame, who's highly rated, highly regarded on a lot of these draft boards, Quentin Nelson. He is projected to be one of the best offensive linemen in this draft. I think it makes a lot of sense for Denver. They've got guys on defense. The talent is there. On offense, they got the receivers. They've got the quarterback now, like I mentioned. They just need some help up front. I would go with Nelson out of Notre Dame, the offensive guard.
I'm going with I'm thinking they need to go defense. I think you got, you got Von Miller over there. You don't have DeMarcus anymore, and I would go with Chubbs.
Yeah, this guy, he's ferocious.
Yeah, I would go with Bradley
ferocious.
Chubbs. I would go with Chubbs.
I've got him actually next at 6th for the Indianapolis Colts, who pick in that position. The Colts, so many unknowns with them, so many question marks. It looks like they need defense bad.
Yeah.
They need defense help bad. I think they need a quarterback, but at this point they're still going to roll with, obviously, Andrew Luck and see what he has coming off of the shoulder injury. I go with Bradley Chubb, like you just mentioned there before, Keith, a ferocious guy, D-end out of North Carolina State. If you followed them in college football last year, you heard his name mentioned a lot on highlight reels. This guy's the real deal at defensive end. Colts need many help on defense, but they'll start at first by plugging in a guy like Chubb at defensive end.
I'm going with Darwin James from Florida State. Man.
Yes. Okay.
I'm going. They need a
safety.
Safety. They need a safety over there. I would start there. You have Vontae Davis there over there. You have a decent. I would start with defense. Defense is what's going to win you champion. They got to figure out what's going to be their focal point this year. Is it going to be offense or defense? I think defense is better because they have a better defense than they do offense. And I think you just make it strong as you can, and then you start building from your offense. And why not go with a great safety from Florida State, Derwin James? He's a great player, so I'm going with him.
Definitely a great player. It's interesting you mentioned that, what their philosophy is going to be. What do they make the precedence, defense or offense? Frank Reich comes in as an offensive guy with the Eagles last year, Bills quarterback back in the 90s. We'll see. It would be a mistake, though, obviously, to neglect the defensive side of the ball. We'll see what they do. Up to number 7 now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock. I'm going with the guy you just mentioned before, Keith, Derwin James, the safety from Florida State. Tampa Bay was awful on defense last year.
Yeah.
I believe they led the league in most yards allowed through the air. They need lots of help in the secondary there, especially in a division where you got to go up against guys like Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and Cam Newton.
Yeah.
They need to improve the defense and the defensive secondary. I go with James at number 7 for Tampa.
I'm going with Lamar Jackson at 7 for Tampa Bay.
Ooh, interesting.
The reason why I'm not a believer in
Jameis Winston.
I think you gave him so many chances. He hasn't really come over the top. You need to get a better leader in there. And why not go with a guy Lamar Jackson, who's won a Heisman, who knows how to lead, and he's just a new addition to the team. I'm going with a quarterback to wake up Jameis Winston.
I was really tempted to pick a quarterback for them as well for the same reasons you just mentioned there before. However, I think if I'm the GM in Tampa, I stick with Winston. I put my support to him, Stu, for another year because there's so much talent there. You think he's eventually going to get it together, but it's this year. He's got to show it this year in 2018.
Yeah.
I'm still rolling with him at this point. I got to address the defense, especially in that division, which is probably the best division in all of football. All the quarterbacks you got to face, like I mentioned before, I got to go defense.
Yeah.
But interesting, though, I was tempted to take a quarterback. At number 8, the Chicago Bears. This is a team that's got the quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky, year number 2 for him. They need to improve the defense, especially the defensive interior part. They need to get back to Bears football. Hard-nosed, guys like Brian Urlacher, Mike Ditka defense back in the day in the 80s when they won the Super Bowl. They need to get back to that. So I go defense for Chicago, and I go with the defensive tackle outside of Washington, Vita Vea.
Oh, okay.
The big tackle up front there for him. Big career at Washington. Somewhat went under the radar, playing out here on the West Coast. But Vita Vea, huge guy, so athletic, very versatile. You don't see too many guys like that who have his type of speed and athleticism at his big size. I think that's a good pick for the Bears. Like I said, they got to get back to those hardcore defensive type of traits and mentality. I think that's where they start.
I think they should start an offensive line. I think they were great.
Okay.
They got a great quarterback. Need some protection. I will go with Nelson.
The Notre Dame guard.
Quentin Nelson from Notre Dame. I will go with him. Get some protection up front and start there. I mean, I think, like you said, they have a great receiving core. They have a great quarterback. You know, you want to keep that guy for as long as you can. I will go with that. I think their defense can sustain themselves. They always technically are a good defensive team. They ain't gonna get no better. But the offensive line, they can definitely get better. So, whatever.
Fair enough. To number 9, we've got the San Francisco 49ers on the clock, a team that's ready to win in 2018, Keith, which is pretty miraculous considering just a couple of years ago we were uncertain that if this team would have a winning season in the next, 5 years.
Yeah.
But in comes Jimmy Garoppolo, insert Richard Sherman. They have a good head coach in Kyle Shanahan. They are ready to win this year. If I am them, I am going to keep on bolstering up that defense. It's interesting. Some of these teams here towards the end, a lot of these teams have needs. There's a lot of needs. Number one, if you're picking the top 10, you've got a lot of needs, but a lot of defensive needs. I'm going with Minkah Fitzpatrick, the cornerback from Alabama. Not getting a whole lot of love. It's been all about the quarterbacks in this draft and Saquon Barkley, but a guy that it's probably going to go late in the top 10 here, maybe somewhere between 10 and 15. He's going to be a steal for any team that takes him. Very talented, obviously, in Nick Saban's system down there with the Tide. At him, maybe opposite Richard Sherman, maybe he goes into that role. They got Witherspoon right now, who's just going to enter into his second year, opposite of Sherman. That's how they have it lined up right now, at least in the offseason. Maybe you get Fitzpatrick and Sherman ultimately. I think that'd be a great tandem.
I'm going with Roquan Smith from Georgia. I think he's a great linebacker. I think they definitely need some defense. What he did, he was probably the most athletic linebacker in the national championship.
Absolutely, he dominated that in that
and
game.
that's what I think you need for them this year. They're getting better. You got Richard Sherman over there now. You're getting some good defensive players over there. Why not start with a young linebacker like him?
And at number 10, we've got the Oakland Raiders. John Gruden's first draft pick back here with the Raiders. It's interesting. They've got the quarterback in Carr. He's coming off of the back issues, which we talked about extensively last fall here on the program. Everyone's hopeful that he'll bounce back. I think they got to go defense. Yeah. If you look at when he had success, Gruden in Tampa Bay, when they won the Super Bowl, they had an awesome defense with guys like Simeon Rice, Derek Brooks. They could get tremendous pressure on the quarterback. They need to add that type of player. And I look no further than the guy you just mentioned before from Georgia, Roquan Smith. For all the reasons you just mentioned there, unbelievable athletic type of a guy, can apply so much pressure. To me, that's the guy that they want to get. I think that's a good starting pick for him. I think they need to go defense.
I'm going with defense, too. I think you have a great defensive player. I like Vita Vea. Defensive tackle. I think they can clog up the middle and everything like that. I think he'd be great for the team to stop the runs and going up the middle and a big tackle. So I think that's what they need. They're very big in the offensive line, O-line. They got Donald Penn. They got a lot of big players up in front. up front, and I think they need to get bigger on the defensive end. So I will go with Vita Vea.
That's our mock draft 1 through 10. It's going to be fascinating tomorrow night. It's in prime time again down in Dallas. Jerry's World, the whole 9 yards. It's cool. I liked how they've been rotating around different cities last couple of years. Chicago, Philly last year, now down in Texas this year. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really interesting. I like it a lot better in prime time. They've done that now for several years, obviously changing from that Saturday 12 noon Eastern time slot, what they used to do. It's a lot better in prime time under the big lights. I'm excited about this. It's been hyped up tremendously. My gut tells me that most of these guys will not live up to this type of hype, especially at the quarterback position. But I think there is some hidden gems in this draft.
Yeah.
Like a Lamar Jackson potentially. Like I said, Minkah Fitzpatrick, the corner out of Alabama. Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver out of Alabama, not getting a whole lot of airtime at this point, but he's got a lot of potential. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
It's the start of the journey for so many guys.
Yep. It sure is. And just to say something real fast, catching up some of these games, look at the score. OKC is up now 80-78.
Amazing.
Amazing how they came back. You got Minnesota running, getting away from them right now, 84-7.
You don't know with these games. They could turn on a dime, as we saw the other night. It's incredible. Yeah, there it is. 2-point lead now. Just up by 2, OKC over Utah. And, yeah, Houston's going to run away with this. Yeah. Seemingly, third quarter's not even over yet.
It's that third quarter for them.
I know. That's what they do.
And Jamal Crawford just got a text so they're losing it.
A quick break here on Behind the Mic. We'll come back with more after this.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late. We stay informed. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Everybody buckle up.
Mom.
Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every 17 minutes, Make-A-Wish makes the impossible possible. They tame dragons. They bring Saturn to Earth. They help superheroes save entire cities. They even make unicorns fly. All to give children the strength they need to fight their critical illnesses. Every wish takes muscle. Help us make sure every wish comes true. Join us at wish.org.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression,
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
This is Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Welcome back inside Grunion Sports Bar and Grill Behind the Mic, going into 9 o'clock tonight. Brad and Keith hanging out. You can always listen online, BehindTheMicShow.com, and on the Behind the Mic app. We gave you our mock drafts before, according to yours truly and Keith. We played a little GM. It's going to be fun tomorrow night. All these talks about all these quarterbacks. Got to give some love to these defensive guys, though, as we mentioned before. Guys like Vita Vea out of Washington, Smith out of Georgia, Fitzpatrick in Alabama, the list goes on. It's going to be fun tomorrow night to follow the whole thing in prime time as they get underway from Dallas, Texas tomorrow. Dodgers, they fall tonight to the Miami Marlins 8-6. You can't lose to the Marlins 2 out of 3 games. You can't do it. I'm sorry. They came back, they made it interesting, but early in this game through the first 5 or 6 innings, Keith, they had 1 hit, and that came off of the bat of your pitcher, Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
You've got to do better than that. These pitchers from Miami, these guys are young. They haven't done anything yet in the major leagues. With all due respect, you've got to do better than that. They come out last week. They start to get on a roll. They sweep San Diego. We were excited about them coming back home. They took 2 out of 3 in the weekend over Washington. It looked like they were getting on a good track here, but to drop 2 out of 3, they go back to right where they were before. Not consistent enough on offense at the plate. They go through too many cold spells. The bullpen, they've called some guys up from the minor leagues. Actually, they did that today to try and bolster that pen. It's been too up and down. Yeah. Pedro Baez is terrible. Yeah. Absolutely terrible. He pitched the other night, gave up a couple of runs. He's just not good enough. Not good enough for championship baseball, for where this team wants to go. They won't even get back to the World Series playing like this. They've got to take care of business. You got to beat teams who you're supposed to beat.
Yeah.
I get there's going to be peaks and valleys, and there's going to be ups and downs, but you've got to beat these types of teams.
I totally agree with you. I'll agree with you right there. They're just inconsistent, and they just didn't come ready to play. You know, I mean, forget it. Like I said, it's not about there's a lot more games left and this and that. It's about consistency. And it's about, putting up certain number of wins and things like that. That's what it really comes down to. And it's being accustomed to winning. And I think right now they're just playing too lax. You cannot have your pitcher the only one putting bat, especially with the lineup you have. I mean, come on, you got a lot of players out there that can put the bat on the ball, and not be able to do that. And then playing against a Marlins team who, let me remind you, doesn't have any superstars on that team. Giancarlo Stanton, is he around anymore? I think not.
I don't think so.
I mean, you don't have any talent on that team anymore, and for you to go out and play like that, and then you're back down, you're sitting down now, you're half a game in front of the Giants, and you lose. I mean, that's a winnable. First off, we had discussed this about a week ago. Like that series, they said the Marlins series. Like, dude, you can go out there. If they win, they should win that series. They had that series, and then they had another. I forgot who they played next after that. I think it's Toronto. Is it Toronto? Who they play after that? After the Marlins series.
The Dodgers?
Yeah, for the Dodgers.
They have 4 in San Francisco this weekend.
Okay, 4 in Frisco. Okay, 4 in Frisco. They have the Marlins, and then who's next? I believe it's before they go back to the Giants. Before they go back to here, it goes right here.
No,
Washington. So it was
this past series.
This was their opportunity. We had talked when they played after we were done with Arizona. Remember, we had talked about the San Diego Padres.
Yep.
They won that. They could have had a winning streak. You dropped one in Washington, and then the Marlins. These are the ones that's going to put you over the hump before you go back, and you got to play the Giants at the Giants 4 games straight. And that's the battle of third place. And
if you can't beat the Marlins, there's no guarantee you're going to beat the Giants.
That's what
either.
I'm saying. What I'm saying is they hurt themselves by losing 2 of these games to the Marlins. These are winnable games. These are the games they have to win. If they won all these right here, man, you're talking about honestly, you're talking about a 5-game winning streak, a 5-game winning streak, 6-game winning streak going into the playing against the Giants. So that's a great opportunity. You're sitting up right next to the Arizona Diamondbacks, right behind them for first, and now you're right back in the driver's seat. But now you start right back where you were from where you initially, like you said, where you initially started. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough road. They're going to go back. They're going to play San Francisco. They're going to go back to Arizona.
That's what I'm saying. Don't look now, but they got a 4-game series, I believe, with the Diamondbacks on the road next week, who coming into today had the best record of the National League. Big surprise. Yeah. They've been a surprise team. The Red Sox starting red hot have been a surprise. How about Oakland? Yeah. Oakland's not bad. They're a respectable 13-12 when some people thought the bottom would fall out to begin this season. Yeah. So the competition has gotten better, although there are a lot of bad teams in baseball right now.
Yeah.
Out west here, it's improved.
Yes, it
especially this National League West division. That's something a lot of people didn't talk about. We've referenced it a couple times here in Behind the Mic. How good would this division be? Would they be improved? And the Giants are, even though they've battled injuries, they're a formidable opponent and a tough out, as we've seen as the Dodgers have played them a lot here within the first couple of weeks of the season. San Diego is terrible, but so are the Marlins, and the Dodgers couldn't beat them today. It's very frustrating for this team to be so inconsistent. And it's just, as I mentioned to you before tonight's show, it's a combination of everything. At the plate, the bullpen, it's been okay. The starting rotation has been good at times, but it's been inconsistent as well. Kershaw's given you some good outings today, was not great, obviously not good enough. He gives up 4 runs or so against a Marlins team that really has no business of scoring any runs off of him. And he gives it up. You just can't have it. You can't have it at all. And just right now, there's just a lot of unknowns about this team. They need Turner to get back. They need his bat in the lineup. That will help. But I still believe that their problems run deeper than him. And I don't know how you address it at this point. I think they're going to have to do a big evaluation over the next couple of months. Soul searching, whatever you want to call it. Matt Kemp has been one of the bright spots. He continues to swing a hot bat, as we've discussed. I still like the idea of moving him at some point to get you some help that you'll probably need. Walker Buehler debuted last night, or a couple nights ago, actually. He had his first start in his career for the Dodgers. He pitched well. He's going to pitch again probably this weekend. They optioned him down to AAA Rancho Cucamonga for the next couple of days just to get some work, but they expect him to be back. So maybe that's a guy they can add to the rotation who could work his way up to a number 2, but that's a lot to ask for a guy who just made his first start of his career, and might be too much pressure on him. Maeda pitched well for them last night. He's a guy, though, who can be streaky. Rich Hill continues to be injured, and Alex Wood has just been up and down. Their best option right now, number 2 behind Kershaw, is Hungjin Ryu. He has pitched well for him besides opening day. His first start of the season when he first went out there for the Boys in Blue, he has pitched well for them. He's given them solid outings, and they'll need more of that. But again, like you said before, it's just inconsistent, and I wish I had the answer if it was a quick patch here or there, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. And Dodger fans are just going to have to be patient with this team, and hopefully they can resolve these inconsistent issues over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be patient, but on the flip side, the Dodgers got to come ready to play. You can't, you can't have innings like that, and you have to beat winnable teams. When you're playing Miami, teams like Miami, you should be throttling them. Like, those are guaranteed wins in my book, especially the type of talent that you got on your team. Those are guaranteed wins, and it's really showing you that they're not about that.
And look, I get it. They started at an odd time today, 4:30, first pitch. A lot of shadows that can be tough for hitters, but both teams have to deal with it, obviously. And again, for you to come up with just one hit in the first 5 or 6 innings, that's just not good enough. It's not good enough for any team. These are major league hitters.
Yeah.
They're going to hit fastballs that are right down the middle of the plate, and they're going to get out. You know what I mean? Like, if you play down to the competition, which they can do, which we've talked about, they make themselves vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you saw that today. So they got to get it fixed quick, at least as far as wins are concerned. They got to find ways to grind out victories at this point, even if it's not the way they want to do it. In the interim, that's how they have to go about it.
Yeah.
Down in Anaheim, on the flip side with the Angels, they lose today in Houston. They could not touch Justin Verlander. That's okay. Who can at this point? The key is, though, they won that series. They took 2 out of 3 against some good pitchers. And we all know it's not easy to win down there. I was impressed based off of them just getting swept last week. The wheels fell off a bit against Boston. And then over the weekend, they lost 2 out of 3 to San Francisco in a little interleague play. So this is a huge week for them. This was huge. The fact they started off this week 2 out of 3 against Houston is good. I'm very excited for this series this weekend, Keith, as the Yankees come to town. I think we're going to continue to learn a lot about this Angels team.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is look. We talked about this the other day about them being battle tested, and they're definitely being battle tested. You know, they play Houston, they play Boston. They got throttled in Boston to see where they're at. They start to pick it up. They played the champs, and they've won 2 out of 3 with them, and now they're a half game back from Houston. And now you got the Yankees coming to town, who's supposed to be another great franchise. It was supposed to arguably come out and represent. They're supposed to come out the American League, and they should be the team that supposedly, make it to the World Series.
And they've been swinging the bats a lot better as of recent.
Yeah, and it was just a matter of time for that to happen. But they're coming into town, and you're going to see where you're relying, where you're at, and then we're going to see Ohtani and see what he's about when playing against the Yankees. So it all depends on what, it just really depends on how they play and how things play out. But I think the Angels can do it. I think the Angels, I think that Boston series really showed them what they really showed them where they're at and where they're lying, where they want to be. And this one's just be another true test to see how they can do. And I think that the Yankees, they can get them if they come out the right way. I think the Angels can get the Yankees.
Speaking of Ohtani, he pitched yesterday, got a no decision, gave up a couple of runs, but it was better.
Yeah.
It was better. That was the first time Angel fans saw him back on the mound since the blister game.
Yeah.
We all remember the blister game.
The hand blister.
Yeah. So not bad. He rebounds again against Houston there, and that's a good team. When you talk about throwing you out to the wolves to see where you're at, not bad. He rebounds a bit, so hopefully he gets back on track as far as the pitching mound goes. This lineup for the Angels is hitting well. It really is. Zach Cozart has got a couple of hits today. He's played well over at third base. Simmons has played well at shortstop. Ian Kinsler has done the job, and Mike Trout is Mike Trout. The guy continues to play at an MVP clip. They need that from him, and more so obviously this year if they're going to get back to the postseason for the first time in a couple of seasons. Calhoun in right field, he continues to swing a hot bat for the Halos as well. Justin Upton is getting acquainted to left field. So as long as they continue to play to their potential, they should be okay. Like I said, they're very, very excited this coming up this weekend with the series. Yankees coming in to take on the Angels down in Anaheim. Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on Meek Mill as we switch gears a little bit, Keith.
Meek Mill.
We talked about him last night on the show. The day of his life yesterday, he gets released from prison. It comes down the news earlier in the day that the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, they decide to overturn his conviction there. He comes out of jail, and the Sixers owner drives to prison, as we all know, picks him up, takes him to the arena, and he's there for Sixers versus Heat last night. Quite an unbelievable story.
Yeah, it's a quite unbelievable story, but it goes back to this, and I have some views about this. There was a lot of people who were saying, "Oh, you see, Meek Mill's out of jail. But people care about now. All of a sudden, people care about Meek Mill and this and that." And I think what people don't understand is it's not about Meek Mill the rapper. Okay, Meek Mill the rapper, with him and having beef with Drake and everything like that, and back and forth. This has to be about Meek Mill the person and the injustice and things that were going on. That, yes, of course, he misses some of his probation. He missed some of his probation going out the country when he was supposed to, not letting his probation officer know, when he was supposed to be inside and the home and this and that. So they lock him up. This was about that and him getting locked up. So I think at the time they were like, hey, you're locked up, no bail amount, boom, this and that. And then people started to compare the things that were going on outside the country, like this incident that would happen that was fortunate about this, I think this kid that went on to a rampage shooting. And I believe that was in Florida. The
Valentine's Day?
Not Valentine's Day. This is recently
happened. The Waffle House?
The Waffle House incident.
Yeah.
And the kid went out and shot people and killed people, and he goes to jail, but he has a bail of $2 million amount or something like that. It's the fact that you got Meek Mill who doesn't get any bail. He doesn't get any bail whatsoever. It's just like, no, you're going to jail, and that's it. And not having a bail amount or not having being bailed out. And then you have another situation where here it is, a different race, ethnicity, or something has happened again, and they get it's not a slap on the wrist, but it's you got an opportunity to leave, go to jail, and wait till your court date. So that's what this was about. And so I look at it as this. Many of things. For Meek Mill, number one, I feel like this. When you disobey the law and you do things and there's repercussions and you should go to jail and you're on probation and you don't abide by the rules, and they're giving you an opportunity. They're not locking you up. But you're taking for granted the opportunity that you do have, that they're giving you, and you go abide it and don't, you're not following those rules, then yeah, you deserve to be locked up. That's my feeling.
Fair and simple.
Yeah, I think it's fair. But on the flip side, I also see things when you shoot and kill someone and you get a bail amount, and I look at that as not being fair. I think the person, if you shoot and kill somebody, then you should be locked up. There's no bail amount until your court date. You're locked up. You're away from society. So I think that's where my opinion lies to it. Now, you see things in the sports world of people. I think the reason why Philadelphia, the owner went out, and you had Robert Kraft who went to go visit Meek Mill. You had Philadelphia owners coming, and they flew him out and stuff like that. I think the reason why is that because they see the injustice, they see the unfairness that in terms of why that didn't look right. In terms of the unfairness, when you start to compare the two, because it's hard not to. Now, like I said, like I told you earlier, I feel that Meek Mill had his opportunity. He had his chances by not showing up for his probations, scheduled probations, for not, going out the country when he was supposed to. Look, those are things that you need to be. There needs to be a consequence for when you're on probation, and if you don't abide by those rules, then yes, you should be locked out. You should be locked up, but because you can't abide by the rules, it's a, but I think that's where they saw that, like, okay, that's where the owners had saw that there's an unbalance here. There can't be something where somebody's killing somebody and get a bail amount to get out of jail, and then there's this person that just did this and just didn't show up for his probation schedule, and he doesn't get a bail. He gets locked up. Like, there's an unbalance there, and I think that's where people rely. And I'll go back to even this. I think people just start to get fed up after a while. Why people are starting to come together. You have the thing going on out in the South End in Philadelphia with the Starbucks situation, or the two African-American kids who are just sitting there in Starbucks, and they're waiting for their friend to have a meeting, and you have the police come and have to escort them out because they didn't buy anything. That's when now you start seeing other ethnies and race and people like that come together and say, wait a minute, this is unfair. Something's going on here, and it needs to be addressed. And I think that this Meek Mill thing and everything, that just all had to build up where the owners were like, look, we need to come in and let's bring Meek Mill to the city of Philly. Everybody loves it. We played his music in the Super Bowl. He's getting out. This will probably help the city. This will probably help the team and pushes them, of course, And I get all that. I get that. So my whole thing is this. They're like, and people are like, well, why are you all of a sudden people jumping on Meek Mill and now being on Meek Mill's side where you were hating him when he was this and that? Because, again, people, this is not about Meek Mill the rapper. This is about Meek Mill the person who's got his freedom taken away from him. That's what this is about. Not about Meek Mill the rapper. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So
it needs a lot of reform.
Yeah.
A lot of reform. And you just have to thank guys like Kraft originally for shedding some light on this. And it was a nice scene to see yesterday. Look, these are low-level offenses. And the punishment just does not quite fit the time here. The crime doesn't fit the punishment, so to say.
Yeah.
That's really what this comes down to in this particular case, and reform is definitely needed.
Yeah,
there's no question.
And I think when you look at it look, Meek Mill's a celebrity, and you got a guy who's a celebrity who makes a lot of money, who's getting in trouble with the law, and then you got judges that are like, look, I'm not a celebrity type of person. I'm just about the law, and I'm going to teach you a lesson, and I'm going to show everybody else out there that celebrities are not above the law either. I don't care how much money you have. And I think what it comes down to, I think that's what that person was in that predicament in. But the thing is you got to also understand that is what you just did by taking away his freedom over a petty crime, or so to speak, that it doesn't look right and it's unfair. You're not doing it the right way. It's unlawful. So that's how you have to look at it as. It's like, look, there's other ways to do things. There's other ways to do things where it's fair. And right now things are not fair and they're not right. And I mean, that's the bottom line. That's where it's at right now. You know what's crazy, Brad? It's a shame, and I'm gonna just get off this point right here. And I was talking to the buddy about this earlier. We never talk about, me and another friend, we never ever talk about racism, and I have a lot of friends of different ethnicities, but we've never talked about it so much until this year and last year. And it's interesting to me because I'm like, wow, like, you look at it, Floyd Mayweather's always said it, racism still exists, and I'm like, okay, whatever, yeah. But it is true. It's to the point, but it's like blatantly out there. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be. Before it was something that was just like you didn't know. It was like something that was like you're like, did that person just? Was that just? That didn't feel right.
Right.
But now it's like it's blatantly out there. It's like I saw this thing that was on social media the other day. Not to get off the subject. But it was like a kid that had a kid that had a sign, and he's from the South, and he said, "You're lucky I'm not black because I would be picking cotton I wouldn't be. If I was black, I would be picking cotton.
Oh, jeez.
But anyway, can you tell? I want to take you to prom. It's like a high school kid. It said, and I was like, wow, like this is things that you see now. It's just like, wow, you know what I mean? It's like you can't. And you look at the LeBron James situation that happened a while ago in Brentwood with his thing, with his whole situation of the. His people graffitied his house, and then you have the reporter that came out and said something, and he reneged and came back to the reporter and said something, and then Kobe Bryant came out on the Oscar and the Emmy Awards and then said something about it. And it's just like, now these days, and it's sad to say that it is things these days, it's more blatantly out there, and then until we as a people realize that see it, and I think a lot of us see it, but until we start to do something about it, and people are by trying to come together, and what we're doing here, and the Meek Mill situation that's a prime example. You got people with different ethnicities, owners coming out, flying him out. Until we start to see more of that, we're going to be in this whole divide for a long time. So, hopefully things get back to normal.
Great show tonight. That'll do it from Grunions. Off days tomorrow for the Angels and the Dodgers. They get back at it this weekend. We'll talk to you tomorrow night from Kings Cove in El Segundo. For Keith, I'm Brad. Keep living the dream.